Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We are the Trifecta. My name is Jason,
My name is Isaac.
I'm Zach.
and we are Odin's Board Game Group. And we are being hosted by Multiverse Comics, by our gracious leader at the time, Daniel, of this place. And yeah, here we are again.
We'd like to put a little notes on there. Daniel's got a couple sales going on because it is free comic book summertime.
Oh,
So if I'm reading correctly, on Saturdays we're doing the free comic books.
Yes.
From Saturdays, from July 18th to September 12th, there'll be free comic books out here. All trades are 10% off right now, and the dollar comic books are buy three get one free.
guessing
Anything else you want to add in that?
I'm guessing that doesn't apply to board games.
You can buy three.
None
get
of
one
the
free.
signs say anything about board games.
I looked already.
One can hold.
I heard that we get 10% off, but
Oh.
that's me making
Yeah,
that
you
myself.
heard
Yeah,
from the voice in your head, right?
Oh yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Now Zach told us.
I don't know nothing.
So we're gonna talk with a little bit. Start off with what did we play last week? I guess I'll start off.
Yes, please.
So at Christmas time, I got this game called The King's Dilemma.
Oh my gosh.
It is a. I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna make up my own way for it. It's a
genre.
political thriller board game.
That is the best way to describe it.
You have a new king who has taken over a war-torn country, and he's trying to focus on what best way to move them forward in the future. You are his council, and you vote on certain aspects, like a trader comes to town and he has wares to sell. Do we buy his his wares, or do we send him on his way? Then everybody can use their what they call their tokens, which is power and gold, to influence the council on their voting, either voting for the trader or voting to get rid of him.
I read something that your choices won't even actually. Most of the time, they won't affect right away. You won't see how they play out
Yep,
just right
it's
then.
something
it's
that
more
plays
down
on.
the line.
Yep.
We're definitely going to war next time I get a chance.
It is definitely Game of Thrones without the war. If you like Game of Thrones,
And
it's
dragons,
literally the
right?
political side of things. I mean, as of
I haven't
now,
seen
we haven't
dragons
seen
yet.
any dragons,
But yeah, we played that last week, and I really loved it.
and it's cool because each house also has their own individual kind of goals to, strive for.
Okay, so it's kind of yeah, like you said, like a medieval kind of thriller there, where everybody's trying
I
to get
can tell you,
ahead
I had
and-
a blast.
Okay.
I'm sure certain members of the council wanted to strangle me. My people were very uppity.
I was just trying to bankrupt the kingdom.
But you
It's
definitely
succeeded.
bankrupted the kingdom.
It was pretty fun.
I
morally and
wanted
financially.
I wanted the peasants to starve as usual.
Hey, morale was pretty high.
No.
So last board game night, we decided to do long play games, and I decided to bring one of my favorites, Tales of Arabian Nights. Basically, you get to be one of the Arabian Nights, and you roam around Arabia, Europa,
India,
India.
Africa.
You encounter things, and I say things because it could be sages, wizards, princesses,
Ifrit.
ifrits, and then you get to choose how you encounter them. And based on what you choose, you get a story, and it could be good, it could be bad. You could wind up in jail for no good reason and keep getting beat until the end of the game. Regardless, it's a great story game, let me tell you.
Yeah, it really is. I also played that with him. It was good times. Yeah, just general fun, and the skill system that it has, it really adds to it.
You get skills. They kind of sometimes in the stories they like to help you out some. Other times they just make no daggone sense.
Yeah,
One of the
sometimes.
best things about that is the storytelling feature of that.
Yeah,
Yes.
it is.
Like you
And-
pull a card out or an event, and there's a story it tells you, and you get to choose
Yep.
and see how
It's a literal make your own adventure game. However, I will say, like, once you've made your decision, it's mostly out of your control exactly what your person
Yeah,
would do.
then you're kind of hoping on skills to take a bad situation and maybe you talk your way out, or you fight your way out, or you acting a disguise your way out.
Yeah, luck is your best friend there in most cases.
If you don't have it, it's not a fun game.
No. Yes. Did you play anything most recently?
Or voice off there in the corner.
Zach. Or Daniel. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Daniel. Daniel, have you played anything lately?
No.
I was completely unaware to be included in this.
I set
That's
out
fair.
last time. I played Catan the time before, though.
Yeah.
I did get my first experience with
Great
Catan
game.
2 weeks ago.
Oh.
It was very interesting.
Okay.
I picked up for somebody who had to leave, so yeah.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'd like to sit down and play that game again. It's one of
I
those games
would,
I still don't get to play all that much.
I would play again. Definitely
I
see
promise
how.
I will not be as mean as I'm normally in that game.
Oh, Isaac was so angry. so angry.
It's really fun to listen.
I was fine.
He was fine, but he didn't act like it.
Nah. I'm very competitive at Catan.
Fair enough. So last week we talked about gateway games, and the primary one we decided to talk about was DC Deck Builder. DC Deck Builder is part of a subset of games called Deck Builders, and that is actually what the focus of today's video is going to be on. And like I said, we talked about DC Deck Builder last week, so we're not going to talk about it this week, but basically the idea of a deck builder is you have everyone starts with a starter set of cards, and then eventually you buy or acquire other cards, and you kind of mold the deck to how you want it to be. And so basically, those kind of games, they come in all shapes and sizes, and of the selection you see here and some other ones we're going to talk about. So why don't we start off with you, Isaac?
I get to start off?
Yeah.
I'm going to talk a little bit about Ascension. Ascension is it's kind of runs on the same format as we'll reference every time, DC Deck Builder. You do have a stack of cards in the middle, usually 5 cards that you can either purchase, that'll be your spell cards, or fight, that'll be your monster cards, and you can add them to your deck because those monster cards will give you points. The idea, I think, is to get the most points. I think it's 100 points.
You get crystals that are each worth a certain
I think it does
amount of
change.
points or
The
something.
soul gems, you could either go to a certain amount, or there are some cards in there that say once you played this, there's a creature. I think it's a Eater of Worlds or something.
I played that game
You
twice.
kill it.
These guys
and
know
that's
it
it.
way better than
Yeah.
me.
The big thing about that is that it is you'll buy your characters. A lot of times I end up buying the equivalent of kicks in that game, which is plus 2 points.
The mystics and the heavy infantry.
Yeah,
yes.
but I like the combos. So you'll have some cards where if you play this card or play this one card, it'll combo off of that,
Yes.
and you'll get a certain amount of fight points where you can then purchase the card out of the middle and then bring it.
I would attribute it to kind of having the same properties as Magic, I suppose, in a way. It's got battle and creatures.
I will say it's more like legendary than DC Deck Builder, as in the fact that you have your cards for buying and your cards for fighting, obviously. And to what Isaac was saying there, yeah, there is a lot of combos you can do. They have like Lifebound, they have the Void, Enlightened. There's several different card types that play off of each other, and you can end up with some very interesting combos. I myself, I play on the app, and I had one time I felt bad for the computers because I played like 30 some cards.
What are you
I
talking
think,
about? Felt bad for the computer.
You should never feel bad for the computer.
I shouldn't, but
because
I
that computer
did.
will turn on you in a second.
Oh, it does.
But like
Stupid
the best thing
player
about
free.
Ascension is that there are multiple expansions. I think there's like 10 expansions for Ascension. This is actually one of the expansions.
There's
I
two
wanted
off to the
Ascension
side that you cannot see, but there are
so bad, but I couldn't find the original there, so I went with this. We
and-
bought that, picked it up at Comics and Gamings, and you and Lee played it for a little bit.
Yeah, we did play once.
This
yeah.
one introduced like little realms areas where you can bring a god, like I guess a god. It gives you an extra components when you bring it out.
See, I haven't played that one yet, so
I usually
that's
pull it out. I
that's
usually
different.
don't use it because I like just running this
Just
flat,
the basic,
basic
yeah,
game
yeah.
because I think that's where I had the most fun playing
And
Ascension.
you missed out on an opportunity to bring Shards of Infinity, which is made by the same people.
Well, reason why Zach talks about that is the game I specifically bought so I could play with Zach.
To an extent, it is a.
I'm doing a very good job.
To an extent, it is
Actually,
a futuristic. It's a futuristic Ascension. It's a very good game, though. Small box. It's very simple, but it's fun.
Also, you have little character races that come into play on that
Mhm.
one,
Mhm.
and they'll give you certain decks that have flows with their characters. Like there's a green deck that's all about healing your players and keeping and life force issues.
Yeah, I think the decks have specific themes that they generally go off. And to knock on the fact of extra expansions and whatnot, I think any good deck builder will offer multiple expansions because as fun and variety, as much variety you can get in one box, you want to be able to keep playing the same game, but keeping it fresh. And
Funny though, you
that's
do
the way to do that.
mention
Expansions.
Magic and Ascension in the same breath. That the guy who runs that studio is an ex-professional Magic player.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, I can see from the game itself where he brought influences in from that, and the artwork, and the
Yeah.
story, and the flavor text.
I mean, when I first played it, that's the vibes I got. And by the way, I mean, Magic the Gathering is definitely a TCG. It's not a deck.
Some of
builder.
us talked about this being a collectible
Do
card
it.
game or a deck builder, but I was
It's
overruled
its
because
own-
technically it's its own category. It is a collectible
It
card
is.
game.
But still, it works
So-
roughly the same way. You're still, getting cards and putting in.
And one thing I'd like to touch on after we do our games here is our definitions of a deck builder. Our personal definition.
You just want me to argue with Jason. That's all it is.
No.
Oh, you guys are in for a treat.
Fight, 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 fight.
I don't have the game in front of me, but one of my favorite deck builders is called Clank. Basically, you are an explorer, and you are going through a dungeon that's guarded by a dragon, and you're just trying to get treasure.
So, no fight?
And your cards involve around moving and attacking goblins, and of course you use a lot of, I guess, fantasy elements like some like flying boots or a special rope that
Boots
lets you
of
teleport,
speed,
something like that.
Yeah, stuff like that.
And it's just literally you're just trying to
Get in and get out.
get it. Well,
Get
I mean,
in, get the best treasure, and get out.
you do have some options though. You can get the closest treasure, which isn't worth that much points, or you could go way deep into the dungeon and get the biggest treasure that's worth a lot amount of points. But however, the first person to leave the dungeon makes it so that and actually I should point out that there is a dragon that when you're in the dungeon you have cards that make you make noise. It's called Clank. Name drop. And basically, every time Clank is made, dragon draws certain cubes. If your cube is drawn, you take a damage. If you ever die, you're done.
And that's where the clank comes in, is you have a certain amount of cubes in front of you, and you have your health and everything too. But when you clank, you make noise. You throw cubes into that bag.
So
I thought you threw all of them in the beginning.
No, you
No.
don't throw them all.
Yeah, you throw them in as you play.
Yeah.
But yeah, generally you're just trying to, like he said, get in, get out with as much treasure as possible. And honestly, you don't really care about the rest of these fools. You just want to go get yourself. Because what do you care? You want to be the wealthiest. And like I said, this kind of just goes to show you how different Ascension is to Clank. Is that one's a dungeon delver. This one's a fighting game
I've
in a
actually
way.
never really thought of Clank as a deck builder until I was reading it. It actually specifically
yeah.
calls
Yeah,
out
like,
Clank on Wikipedia that as a deck builder.
I
because-
look at it as a deck builder with a dungeon delving element to it.
Yep.
I mean,
Because it has a whole board game aspect to it.
Yeah,
That
like
has
you get a
little
board to
that
play
deck
on. And
builders don't necessarily have.
And yeah, that's definitely
Even
that's.
though I think this has
I-
a deck builder.
I don't actually
Good.
think there's another game that does something like that.
Clank in space.
Well, that's just an expansion. Which
That's-
the
yeah.
expansions actually are pretty cool. Instead of adding
I mean,
cards,
that is a standalone game. Though.
It is,
But
it is. Like,
it
they
have expansions to it, and
Well,
they even
there's-
have a legacy.
I was gonna
Yes,
say the
now they have a
legacy
legacy
game
game,
is
too.
actually the Dungeons and Dragons version. I
is
thought.
it? I
Yeah, it's
I thought that they did-
Acquisitions Incorporated,
Yeah, it's
which
actually-
is a D&D thing.
yeah,
I don't know
didn't
much
that.
about it off the top of my head, but yeah.
Well, we were talking about
Interesting
picking it up, but
Well, we're trying to get our friend Zeb to get it because me and Isaac usually take the legacy games, so we want to give him a chance to get in on the fun. And then I think Zach's going to talk about Dragonfire here.
Yes, this is Dragonfire, right here. It's a nice fancy box.
Screams D&D.
It has Dragonfire.
I mean, it does say
literally
Dungeons and Dragons
says
on the cover.
That's
Dungeons
the
and
point.
Dragons down here. It's an interesting take on the deck builder genre because it's, to an extent, you're building your deck with spells. So here we have a player screen, just a general one. This is a fighter right here, a half-orc ranger. So when you start out, you have a certain amount of different cards that you can use. Not everyone's deck starts out the same.
Same general concept though, same basicness.
Yes, it's the
'cause
same
they're just
basic.
basic cards,
Every
but there's different
class has
basic.
its own.
Every
Yeah.
class has its own,
Yeah.
what it calls equipment pack. And it's, I know you can't really see it, but it's here on the back. It has your starting cards, your health.
And the shop is.
And,
Your
and,
XP.
and this one,
Yes.
this game, I
So that
believe,
takes a lot off of Thunderstone. Because Thunderstone, that's their whole basic of that thing is you go shopping or you go hunting.
I understand. I have no experience with Thunderstone, but we'll get to that.
this game, I believe, has a campaign to it, right?
It does have a campaign. So basically, you are adventurers. It's a D&D party. You generally have a scenario that you start out with. Stupid gloves.
Someone's
but-
salty.
Like I said, each person starts out with their own. They have arcane, thievery. Can't remember.
Yeah, it's
Right
one of
off
those
the top-
things
it's
where
been
it
a while
hasn't been
since I
played for
played
a
this,
while.
so-
Yeah. It's been a long
But basically, you each have, you know, the marshal is the fighter class. The cleric is the green class, the rogue, the red, the thief.
All the cards have special
Yeah,
uses.
they
I
have
think,
special
is what you're
uses.
trying to go for. Like one focuses on actual damage. I think the other one focuses on like speedy stuff. One focuses
Yeah,
on
yeah,
magic.
I mean, obviously, it's kind of the same general thing as D&D. Cleric's going to heal.
Oh, and most
Arcane's gonna drop
importantly,
damage.
in the way the cards come into play is you're actually, I believe, fighting monsters, right?
Yes.
Like
There's
there's
a set of monsters.
monsters
Yeah,
are
there's-
assigned to you, I
Yes.
believe.
So what happens is when you start an encounter, there is an encounter deck off to the side. It places an encounter in front of each person, starting with the first card is to the person who is that creature's class. So a blue one might pop up, and that's going to the mage, the arcana person. And so as you go, you have to damage levels of the creatures. And it can be a location. It can draw you to a certain place, and then you can't be helped unless somebody comes to your place.
And the way like monsters are dealt with is they have it's kind of weird. They have like multiple health bars, so to speak.
You mean levels?
Yes.
Well, yeah, okay, levels and levels of health, so to
See-
speak. So to deal with like you'll have a 2 and then you'll have a
Yeah.
4 and then you'll have like 2 blue symbols. So like in order to do that first level of damage, you got to play 2 of anything.
This is more on the complex side of the
Mhm.
deck builders, whereas Ascension and Clank are a little easier. This
Oh,
one
here it gets
has
easy.
more some more strategy into it. It also has a marketplace where when you defeat enemies, you're getting XP, which is your goal. And when you go to your marketplace, there are obviously newer skills that you would want to get. For instance, if you're a mage, you see the light chain lightning pop up. You obviously want to get that because
Fireball.
it does good stuff. Or fireball.
Of course.
I forget if that is you have to kill all the monsters before you go to the marketplace, or
Yes.
is that in the round when you go in the round?
No, actually, that is in the round itself.
Okay, so it is in the round. Okay.
So
'Cause I-
yeah, basically, it's part of the round. You have your phase. You deal damage. You take damage. You replenish your hand if you're below a certain amount of cards, and then you marketplace. The marketplace is different from like Ascension and DC Deck Builder. It goes to your hand, not to your discard pile.
Yep,
So-
that is another important element to take out. A lot of times in deck builders, usually when you buy a card, it usually just goes to your discard pile.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, this one breaks away
This
from
one,
that mold.
this
now,
one
I had a
definitely.
lot of fun playing Dragonfire the last time we played.
Yeah,
My only problem was it gets really nerve wracking because say somebody dies or drops
Yes.
down, that monster now moves on to the next person, and instead of fighting one monster,
Yeah.
you're now fighting 2, and it just gets harder and harder as you're going
again,
on.
it's hard to see, but you have your health track here. Then you can be stunned. Stunned, you discard your hand. You have to wait a turn.
Yeah, it's
Once you're
it's-
unconscious, you're
yeah.
out of it.
Yeah.
So then it goes to somebody else, and it's really, it is nerve wracking because if
Oh,
you
yeah.
don't have the
It's
right
stressful.
stuff, like say Isaac's getting pummeled by a knoll,
Which he often does.
Yes, it does happen in this game. You do get pummeled. But, so say his next level requires Arcana. None of us have Arcana, so we can't damage that and kill that creature to get it
So
off
hit
of him.
every
So it's still hitting him every
You
turn.
definitely you gotta be very cooperative. You gotta be very
Yes.
strategical.
Yes.
It does require that high bit, and I gotta be honest with you, it's not actually one of my favorite. And I think I mentioned this
It's
last video.
unforgiving.
Yeah,
That's
unforgiving.
why it is cooperative.
It's tough.
It's very tough.
I think
One
I
of the more
mentioned
tougher.
I think I mentioned last video that I'm not actually a fan of co-op deck builders. I don't
you
know
hate
why.
Legendary. You don't like.
I don't like legendary. I don't like.
Which I love legendary.
This one I like
The
the
Dungeons
way it
and
works,
Dragons,
but
the
I'm
campaign.
still I'm not a fan of co-op deck builders. I don't want because I guess when I'm building a deck, I want to compete and see if I can build a better deck than everyone else. Whereas in this one, you're trying to help everyone build a good deck to take down some.
You don't necessarily have to help other people, but you can be the
Well,
big.
if you want to,
He can be the big man in the group and show off. And
Oh,
like,
no,
"Hey,
like-
do you need me to save you?
And then it really sucks when someone takes your card. They don't care. Sometimes they don't.
Generally, this one has more conversating about the
I-
cards because I'm not going to
Yeah.
steal an arcane card if I'm a cleric or something. I'm not going to do
You
that.
just talked about what you're looking for would fit your
Yeah,
deck a little bit
yeah.
better. There's a lot more conversation, just like in a D&D campaign. Hey, what goods are we going to do?
Yeah.
Split up.
Yeah, I suppose. But so more to our feature presentation of the day. Really, which should be probably the first deck builder that we should talk about. Really,
Because it is the first deck.
because
builder.
it is the deck builder. Apparently, the first one is Dominion. It is literally the barest bones deck builder that I can honestly think of, even above Juicy Deck Builder. Like this one is straight. You get stacks of cards.
Stacks
like
of cards you buy.
like everyone starts out with a little bit of treasure in their hand, a little bit of what's it called? Victory
powers.
cards.
Yeah, the victory points.
So you get some victory cards. I mean, of course, at the end you're just counting victory, and that's all you care about. These cards don't necessarily give you victory. They do have victory cards you can buy, but they don't do
Yeah,
anything.
that's-
They're wasting your deck.
They're typically more towards the end games, which
Yeah.
you want to
Yeah,
focus
the
on
victory
those then.
points, they're just there kind of like clogging your hand
Yeah,
up.
basically.
So the way you
Yeah.
buy stuff is treasure. Treasure comes in I think it's 1, 2, and 3.
I thought there was a 5.
There might be a 5.
The 3 and 5
don't.
now.
I don't 100% remember. But regardless, that's how you actually buy other cards. And usually, what you're buying is actions, and the actions are what allow you to do stuff like draw more cards, attack people, which usually just makes them discard a card. Some negative effect. There is curses in the game, which kind of is like a negative benefit. It's basically a waste of space in the other person's deck, kind of like wounds that we talked about in the first one.
Yeah.
Or poison, or was it poison in deck, DC deck builder?
Yeah.
Weaknesses.
Weaknesses,
or-
there we go.
Weaknesses story.
Yeah, it counts against you, and of course, it takes up a slot. And like I said, this one is like the most bare bones because there's really it. No one starts out with any special powers. You don't have a hero to help you. You literally are just choosing what stack to buy from and build your deck from there.
Once again, you're like a king building his kingdom.
Yeah.
And you don't really, other than you waiting for them to finish their turns,
Mhm.
your gameplay doesn't necessarily have to depend on their gameplay. Because you can sit there and just go, okay, this is what I'm going for. I remember one
Now-
time where I went after churches the whole time. I just kept
Yeah,
buying.
a lot of times when you get this idea of a thing you kind of want to start building, you start grabbing those cards, it starts working, and then you just keep kind of going. Of course, eventually, those stacks are also finite. So usually, in most deck builders, you just have a set of one-off cards that you can buy. In this one, you have a bunch of stacks. I think it's 10 stacks of action cards or something like that. You can always buy treasure, you can always buy victory. But really, those action cards are what let you do stuff.
And you don't always start with the same stacks to buy from either. You
Yep.
always draw different
The base game
basically
itself.
cards that show you what
Yeah.
stacks you're going to be using.
Yeah, so the base game itself comes with, I don't remember how many, I think it's 20 different stacks that you can choose.
Why don't you open up?
and
That's
the
it.
rule
you can
book-
open it up and find
It's
out.
just too much work. I don't care. Anyway, okay, yeah, you do it. Basically, it comes with about 20 stacks, and it has a rule book, and the rule book will tell you kind of what stacks play well with others. Of course, you could just pick randomly and do what you do.
So the
but-
box looks like
Oh,
this.
yeah, there you go. So
And
it
it tells you right down the middle what each stack
Yep.
is done on.
tells you how much they all cost and whatnot. It's pretty cool. And the best part about this game, the never-ending expansions. Well,
Yeah.
they might be ending at this point, but are they still
I think
making
they
them?
what they basically started doing is they're now on their second edition, where they're going back and revising some of the rules, and they've started coming out with these what they call the big boxes, which is 3 of the expansions in one.
Yeah, and I like that as a concept. I like doing that. You know, it saves,
Saves you
you
a little
from
bit of
trying
money
to find
and then
each
hunting them
one,
down because some of the
but,
expansions are definitely hard to
And the
find.
best part about it is it's kind of quick. You know, most other ones they can take upwards of an hour. This
Oh my
one
God.
can be done like in 30 minutes if
It's
you
just-
guys know what you're
Yeah,
doing.
yeah.
Really, it's and like I said, and then that's because it's so bare bones. But even its bare boneness is still great. Like it I can't actually say it enough. Like I'm kind of disappointed we didn't talk about it last time, but. You know, comparing it to DC Deck Builder, I mean, what are your thoughts?
I would say, I mean, it's weird that when we talk about gateway games and games that start, get you started, nobody ever mentions Dominion as
They
their
don't.
first. But the rules and concepts behind Dominion are so
They are. It is-
simplistic.
it is a gateway game.
It
like
is,
really,
but-
I think the rule book is like 2 pages, maybe 3 pages long.
I guess it's less flashy.
It's
But
like
it's
actually,
simple.
and me myself, I was playing board games for a while before I ever saw anybody bring to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'd played DC Deck Builder
Yeah.
several times before somebody said, "Hey, would you like to play Dominion?"
And I'd always
Okay.
seen it. You know, it was always sitting there on the board game shelf, and
Oh,
I'm just like, I don't know what this is. If someone gets it, I'll play it, sure. And then finally, and when we had our board game group, someone finally brought it. And I was
Yeah, I think
like,
it was
oh, this
me,
game is
because-
great. Why have I not played this?
I think it's because we were playing so much DC Deck Builder.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I like the concept of deck builders. I love the fact that it's pretty simplistic, short games, everything like that. And I was like, I just don't want to play another game of DC Deck Builder.
And
so
that's
I
fair.
looked
It
it
can-
up,
it
and
can
everybody's
get
like, this is the
repetitive.
best, this is the original. I will say.
I don't think we had discovered Clank yet either.
Well,
Oh,
Plank
no,
was
that-
not
that-
out.
yeah,
It's
that-
only about
yeah.
3 years old, maybe.
That
3,
one,
4.
yeah, that one is still a newbie. Definitely check it out, though. It is a great game. I have to say, of all the DC, like the deck builders, I really actually enjoy Clank a lot. Even though I,
I do
don't
too.
own it.
It has enough to keep it fresh.
It does.
In different ways.
The dungeon delving is a really great way to actually use your cards. Normally, when you use your cards, you're just buying more cards, but this
Yeah,
one actually
yeah.
lets you interact with something that does something.
I really, really do want to go back and get the Legacy Clank.
Oh,
Let's try that out because there's
it's gonna
three,
be done.
3 of them now, I think.
Well, 3 total Clanks, yeah.
No, I was talking about like 3 of the Acquisition Incorporated games.
I don't know.
Are they? I
haven't
didn't
kept
know there
up
was
on
a
that, but
set. I didn't know there was
I've
a
only
set.
seen just the Acquisition
I'm
Incorporated.
pretty sure there's 2 expansions to it now.
It very well could be, but
But I like the
We
idea.
keep
of
talking
it.
about Clank Legacy. Guess what our next theme's gonna be?
Was that what you wanted to Clank? I mean,
no.
it's.
Is Gloomhaven finally gonna be talking
I don't have like 12 hours to talk about a board game.
about? I do.
Yeah,
I can
that's
talk
that's
about it.
mean,
gonna
it's
have
kinda
to be a
like-
different video,
mean-
and that's gonna be dedicated to just Gloomhaven. Or,
But I think it's the time of the day we talk about, what's happening this weekend.
Yeah,
Hey,
this
Jason,
weekend. Oh,
what
hey.
are we doing this weekend?
What is our theme for the week? All right, so let's see. Last few weeks we did general board games to get back into the play.
Did
Then
long play
we did
games.
long play games.
I
don't
mean,
know, you guys.
might as well go with the theme of the night.
What, deck builders.
Deck builders.
You know what?
I think
Heck,
that's a great
why
thing.
not? Great thing to do.
So I
Except,
think this
who
thing-
has Dominion? Do you have Dominion?
No, I don't.
No
have
one in
Dominion.
our group has Dominion anymore.
he literally.
I literally
brought
have this.
That's yours. I didn't know you. I mean, you had me convinced.
And here we have a great example of the true nature of Jason.
No, so just to let you know, we are still meeting at Multiverses on Saturdays. We start at 5 o'clock, go to 10. This week's theme will be Deck Builder. You get to
Sorry,
try some
Brittany.
of our great games. Uh-oh.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Oh.
She's not a big fan of that.
You know
Can we play Yahtzee?
No.
No Yahtzee. Well,
Stop
actually,
that.
technically Yahtzee does fit in classical games, and we are doomed to a classical board game.
Indeed,
We'll
indeed.
get
You know.
to it, but not now.
I just want to make an honorable mention. It's not even a deck builder, but it's something that I enjoy, and it is called Warriors, and it's a dice.
Whoa!
building
That's
game.
its own theme.
That's a whole
own
other night
theme.
because Quarriors is such an amazing game. It
Indeed.
spawned 2 games that I like.
I will say Warriors is what's called a dice building game. same
It's
general
same
concept as
concept.
deck
Mhm.
builder, but we're gonna save that for another time. Ooh, maybe that could be our next thing.
Well, thank you again for joining us. For
Wait, we haven't had our argument.
No, we're not.
What's a deck builder to you, Isaac?
Okay, so they do want to talk about what's a deck builder. I differ
And-
from
and
them.
there's a reason why.
And because you want to go grab the game, go grab the game.
You can't grab the game because then.
Oh, it's
the-
actually holding up the camera, so you can't grab.
Well,
the game.
all right, talk about
All
it.
right.
Let's
Uh,
hold the camera.
yeah. So, one of the big things we differed on, we talked about Magic. I differed a little bit on them. I still think
It's
it
not a
fits in the
deck
deck builder
Yeah,
because you
not a
build the deck.
Yeah, you do build the deck. I'll give
You
you,
build the
that.
deck.
But it is you don't. Not everyone starts out with the same thing.
That's more of a luck of the draw. thing.
Yeah,
You know
that,
what?
that is
That
go
sounds
buy
like
some
everybody
packs.
goes home with a participation trophy argument there.
Well, it kind of is, but like I oh dear. Daniel, cut that out.
And that's what we would normally do. Except
Or don't, whatever.
It's off the rails now.
No, it kind of has.
Oh, yeah. Arguments get so heated. No, but like
No,
everyone starts out with the same thing,
Jason keeps talking.
and then you build from there. In Magic, you have no idea what the other person started with. They can start with a starter deck. They can literally just build their own deck.
And talking.
And,
It is.
there's so many different elements that it is a deck builder, but it's definitely more of its own thing.
And talking.
I mean, it is, but it's a trading card game. That's-
So,
that's
what I've continued with
simple,
them is that I do
straightforward.
believe it is a collectible card game because you do expand the deck, your hand, your collection by buying expansion packs.
Now,
Whereas the expansion packs, it's endless with
It
like
is.
Magic and
It
the
is.
but that
Pokemon
wasn't actually
and
the
stuff like.
focal point of this argument.
I know.
Really, the focal point was this other game called, what is it called? Battle Wizards?
Battle Wizards.
Down there.
No
All right.
paper
You
towel?
didn't see me do this.
Oh.
That's not the proper way to use your mask, people. Mask's face. They don't clean up their face. Not that-
I'm so sorry, Daniel.
It's okay. Hey, he can watch it.
But yeah, so Battle Wizards, it's a game I love, and it's basically about you're a group of wizards trying to prove that they are the king of the
But-
area, the big
That
big boss.
their spells are better.
Yeah,
I think is
and
probably
so
the better way to describe
you
it.
have a hand which has 3 different types of cards that builds a spell.
You
there's
get
a
to
deck you
say
draw
the spell,
upon.
and it's super fun.
And I think it fits the category of deck builder,
It
even
doesn't,
though.
'cause you're
necessarily
not-
for
But
children.
it's definitely
Oh,
not
yeah,
a children's
for
game.
children.
No.
Don't buy that.
But-
for children.
To their point, you're not buying from the middle of them. You're just collecting the cards out of the middle pile.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
So
and
they're telling me they think it's the card game. I'm like, no, poker's a card game.
well, it's its own
Poker
special.
is a
I don't
card game.
actually
I feel
know
like
the
you
definition
have-
to give it.
You have card games.
There's definitely subgenres,
I
but
don't know.
it is not a deck builder. It is far from
It's a hand builder.
it. Yeah,
is a
hand
hand
builder.
I don't know what that's going to be, but it's a hand builder.
Hey, coin it. Let's make our first hand builder game.
There we go. But I like it. It's a great game. That one, you could play another 20 minutes.
Oh yeah,
It's
pretty.
pretty
It's really
good.
fun because the
It's
spell
actually-
names are actually really weird.
Unfortunately, I do think it's out of print again.
Really?
It
That's
was out of
fair.
print. Like it's
It
a
just
$30
came
game.
out.
Like, no,
Like,
No,
well,
it's
well,
been
yeah,
out
it has
for
been
a
out for a
while.
while. I actually used to
Time.
Yeah,
own
a
a
long
copy.
while.
of it.
You actually do own a copy of it. You own the sequel to it.
I don't own it anymore.
Oh, what happened?
You give it to us, and
Yeah.
our cats ruined it. So
Oh,
it's
no!
fair. It happened.
Yeah.
No,
Alright.
I'm sorry. But alas, so yeah.
We have to end.
Yeah.
Let us
We-
know what your favorite deck builders are.
Yeah.
If you
You
like the
always-
madness, minus my spilling of the drink,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, leave
please
a like and subscribe.
the button.
Like and subscribe.
Oh, and
Multiverse
there's a little
Comics and
bell
Games.
that notifies you if there's anything
Yep.
new.
Yep. Sign up for notifications.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a fun. Hey, if we get like 20 likes, maybe I'll let them do something to me or something that you guys want. I don't know. We'll see. But hey, whoa, no physical stuff.
I mean, we're just gonna pull your leg here.
Ah!
We're just gonna shave you.
Well, that's the trifecta signing off. Take care,
We would
everyone.
like to tell you, go ahead and like and subscribe to.
We already
First
told 'em
Comics
that.
Gaming.
We're signing off.
Also, like and subscribe to Odin's Game Night.
Oh, please,
On
yeah, do
Facebook.
that.
That way you can see our
Don't-
hilarity.
don't-
You can.
We're not signing
Uh,
off yet.
No, we're not signing off yet because we need more people for Odin's Game Night.
We
Everybody
Alright.
is welcome.
we want people.
We want people. We, want more people to play with.
We are happy with what
Different
we have, but
games.
we do want more. We want more. We're not in desperate need to the point where we're begging, but we want you to come out. We want you
Sounds
to
like
want to come out.
begging.
It's not begging.
Jason's definitely begging.
I'm not
If you
begging.
Come by. Jason will beg you to
Jason's
join.
desperate.
If you walk
in
into
all
this
things.
store and pique any interest, I will chat.
I once
you.
saw him kidnap a kid from his parents to make him play board games.
It's probably a true story.
It's a very true story.
I would not put it.
We're not at liberty to discuss about this, but
There is a lawsuit. I'm just kidding.
Wait, what? Cut that out, please. Don't need this in my life.
yeah, we are the Trifecta for Odin's Game Night.
Signing
We'll
off this
see
time
you
for good.
Next time in the multiverse.
As you can see, Jason is not above begging. But anyway, that's been their video, and sadly, we didn't get to see Isaac and Jason fight. I'm very disappointed about that. One day. Yeah, so like and subscribe, hit the notification button, and we will see you in the multiverse.